This podcast is coming to you on Saturday, the 9th of April, 2022. And it's about 3:15, people, and I am sitting here just giddy and tickled pink. And I've never asked you guys for a dime, but I'm going to make an exception here. If any of you guys see me out and about at the bottom Peter Pit, I think you really ought to buy me a tall, cool, crisp Millennium Budweiser. And why is that, you might be thinking? Because I have just found for you one of the coolest 10-minute videos, linked below, people, in the pinned comment sections. We'll get to it toward the end of this here. It is, I think you're going to think it's cool. Features a minor Air Force Base and one of their launch control modules. They even mentioned the Hacienda Bar and Grill. And it goes back to 1979. Anyhow, that's just a little spoiler alert for you. Yesterday's podcast triggered a lot of comments. Now, people, you're going to struggle. You're going to really have problems if you can't get it through your thick heads. They want us dead. They are out to kill us. They are going to reduce the world's population by a big factor. And yes, it is a multi-pronged attack, asymmetrical warfare. Would they taint the food supply? Most certainly. Would they unleash pandemics on us? Most certainly. Would they nuke us? Any way they could. Would they use chemical weapons? You got it. And would the UN Nigerian detachment, where the white men come into town and mop up the survivors? Hell yes. Get it through your head, people. If you can conceive it, they can and will try to achieve it. So there's that. Ever heard of ASF? Yeah, it stands for African Swine Flu. Put that in the back of your mind. Put it on the beer burner. Don't be surprised if you hear that term coming up real soon. Yeah, they pretty much destroyed the poultry industry. Going after dairy in a big way. Beef? Yeah, we'll get some cheap prices. And then what? North Carolina, if you want to have hobby chickens at home, buy them now, because they'll never restock. You better have a rooster walking around. Because, I remember my 7th grade biology. I think you need a rooster in a hand. And then I think you can get your own crop of chicks. But I could be wrong, especially in today's world. You might get a tranny bird out there somehow. All right, so, little point. You guys remember the Sacramento massacre that just happened recently at the bar nightclub districts in Sacramento, California? Yeah, it's just an amazing thing. It's a tragic event. I think 54-second shootout, 6 dead, 12 wounded. But here's the thing that always stuns me. The minute somebody goes apeshit with a firearm, they demand new gun controls for the people who didn't do a goddamn thing. It never fails. Biden demands new gun laws in the wake of Sacramento massacre that killed 6. First victims identified as dad of 38 man, 29. Yes, it's tragic. I'm not making fun of that. Who were cousins, as police say they are looking for at least 2 gunmen. Joe Biden has called for new gun laws hours after 6 people were killed in a shooting outside a Sacramento bar. Ban ghost guns, the president said Sunday. Require background checks for all gun sales. The gun sale loophole law, people. And here's a big one. Ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Repeal gun manufacturers' immunity from liability. Never fails, people. Every effing time. Doesn't say anything about, we got to increase sentences. We got to put more money into crime and prevention. No, hell no. Go after the illegal Second Amendment supporting gun owners. All right, that was my little rant for the day. We're poking the bear, people. And if you don't know who the bear is the Russian bear. It could get serious. Do not let anything in today's world surprise you. And that's going to bring us around to this cool video. After I do a little bit of pissing and moaning about the weather, because it's not Mother Nature. So everybody's talking yesterday at the bottom of Peter Pit. Oh, next week it sucks, looks bad. Even my wife said, better get off your fat ass and go out there and cut some wood. Because could we have a blizzard middle of next week? Well, I don't have the script coming from Raytheon Corporation, people, so I don't know. But would it surprise me? No, wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me about this effed up weather. Man-controlled. And most people don't believe weather warfare because they aren't aware of the technologies, that's plural, people, that have been fine-tuned for over 70 plus years. I'm not even going to get into HAARP and ionosphere heaters. Why? most aren't aware of the patents. You know what a patent is? You go to the patent office because you got something cool you want to protect, that have been granted and filed over 70 plus years. A good number of those patents are, what's in that spray? They're spraying us like a bunch of goddamn bugs. Yeah, patents, people. Put a patent on something that don't exist, do you? And unfortunately, and here's the kicker, this is one that kicks you right in the balls. Most people simply don't give a shit. Oh well, it is what it is. I gotta go over there and I gotta call somebody. Who cares? Yeah, unbelievable. Alright, people, like it or not, if you know it or not, Raytheon Corporation, yeah, Lockheed Martin controls our weather and our weather forecasters via a federally issued gag order. I'm not going to beat that dead horse. It is what it is, people. I'll throw it right back at the people that don't give a shit. Okay, now let me get on, and this might be a short audio or a podcast today. Let me get on to this cool video. One of the segments features Minot Air Force Base, one of their launch control modules, and like I said, mentions a Hacienda Bar and Grill, 1979. Okay, let's go over here, and what's this all about? Big D? Oh, that's one of my nicknames. Here we go. Many people in the United States are of the view that the situation between Russia and the Ukraine will never go nuclear because they think Russia would be destroyed. Turns out that's not true, not at all. In fact, in a nuclear simulation back in 1979, because it takes so long for U.S. missiles to launch, just the ICBMs, 4 minutes 30 seconds from the launch order, with Russia's new hypersonic missiles, our missiles wouldn't even get out of their silos. Put simply, we lose. Losers. There's a guy at the bottom, Peter Pitt, never mention any names, we'll call him, let's call him Fritz. He always puts out the thumb, raised for, pointing finger, forms an L and goes, loser. Yep, we'd lose, people. Okay, the 10-minute video that I'm going to link to was made in 1979, before the advent of Russia's new hypersonic missiles. I'm reading this text here for you. It demonstrates how the U.S., with its safety systems designed to prevent any one man from launching a nuclear weapon, actually cause our demise in a conflict with Russia. Our missiles are far too slow to come out of their silos after a launch order. Meanwhile, submarine-launched Russian missiles can come from either the Pacific or the Arctic, or why not the Atlantic, and cover so much ground so fast that our weapons would get destroyed in the ground and on the ground. Talking about the triad people of our mutually assured destruction, submarines, ground-launched missiles, and bombers. And all that was before the creation of Russia's hypersonic missiles. Spoiler alert, people. We lose in less than 34 minutes. Here's the last line of this. So if you were of the delusion that the U.S. is the most powerful nation on earth and that Russia wouldn't dare go nuclear over Ukraine or a wider war in Europe, you'd better get your head out of your ass. Hey, that's not my words. I'm just reading what this said. Okay, now, just to whet your appetite, I'm going to play you a little couple of pieces. Do that just for you. Just a brief introduction and the brief ending of part 1. There is a second part to this. Try watching part 1, link below. And if you want to watch part 2, that's about 9 minutes in addition. Go ahead. The minute you go to the link, you'll see it up there on the right side. Here we go.
Since the Second World War, the ultimate security of the United States has depended on the awesome destructive power of its strategic nuclear forces to deter thermonuclear war. The strength of this deterrence was based on the calculation that we would inflict terrible destruction in retaliation for a nuclear attack. This doctrine of assured destruction is dependent on the certainty in the mind of an aggressor that we have the will and ability to retaliate. To always maintain this ability, a sufficient portion of our strategic forces must be able to survive any nuclear exchange, even a surprise first strike.
That's the introduction, people. Let's go over here and finish this off with this guy's comments after the simulation exercise has gone down. Come on, boy, my computer skills lacking. Unbelievable. Let's see, here we go.
34 minutes into the attack, the strategic forces of the United States have suffered a crippling blow. Of the 1,000 Minuteman missiles, only 46 remain operational. Of the 330 B-52 bombers, all but 22 have been destroyed on the ground. Of the 41 ballistic missile submarines, 17 have been destroyed in port, and an unknown number are presumed lost at sea. The attack has been restricted to strategic military targets. 8 million Americans are dead. The United States has given an ultimatum. Any attempt at retaliation will result in the certain annihilation of America's urban population. 9 minutes later, the President orders all surviving U.S. forces to cease fire.
Get me that beer, people, if you see me out and about. I'm telling you, this is one cool-ass 10-minute kick-ass video. Can't recommend it enough. Okay, speaking of Raytheon, yeah, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, our weather people, weather controllers. We've got Raytheon former executive, now Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, in a recent heated exchange in the House committee testimony. This is truly, people, a case of, well, what do you mean? Well, what do you mean? What do I mean? What do you mean? Check this out. Here we go. Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense.
I just can't help but notice.
And so your
you guys
question
have been,
was whether or not we.
I control the time.
Your question
You guys
was
have been
whether or not
blowing
we
a lot of
embrace
calls
socialism.
lately on
The
matters
answer
of
is no.
strategy, Mr. Secretary. You guys told us that Russia couldn't lose. You told us that the Taliban couldn't immediately win. And so I guess I'm wondering, what in the $773 billion that you're requesting today is going to help you make assessments that are accurate in the face of so many blown calls?
No, that pissed him off. Come on, Austin.
You've seen what's in our budget. You've seen how the budget matches the strategy, and so I'll let that speak for itself.
Well, I mean, I've also
Significant
seen that we're
investment in
behind, Mr.
combat
Secretary.
capabilities.
We're behind in hypersonics. We failed to deter Russia.
We're behind in hypersonics, people. Did you hear that? This is very, very recent testimony. Yeah, China successfully launched hypersonic missiles. Russia successfully launched and might have even deployed some in the Ukraine. We haven't had, known to the public, a successful test yet with a hypersonic missile. And those fuckers are fast, people.
Last year,
So
China
what do you
sorties.
mean we're behind in hypersonics? How do you?
Okay, who's ahead in hypersonics?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
How do you make that assessment?
I don't know.
Is it
I
a
make that
one for
assessment
one?
because
Is it a
China
one
is
for one
fielding
thing for
hypersonic
developing
weapon systems,
hypersonics?
and we are still developing them. I
Are
make
you
that
talking about
assessment because
development
Russia actually
capability
used
or
one.
development of?
By the way, your own people brief us that we are behind and that China is winning.
There you go. So, hopefully, this very recent testimony, can I find a date for you? Somewhere around, April 5th. Hopefully, it'll make a little more credibility to the very cool, I think you guys should at least try to buy me one beer video I linked today. I'm out there in the wall, people. I'm doing my job, so you don't have to. Okay, here we go. I got stuff to do. Check out the link.